Did you know there's a personality type so rare it makes up barely 2% of the entire population? Yet those who have it often feel completely invisible, even among friends and family. Imagine yourself standing in a crowded room, laughter and conversation surrounding you, yet somehow feeling profoundly disconnected, quietly observing from behind an invisible barrier. If you've ever experienced this painful solitude, you're about to understand one of the most misunderstood personalities on Earth, the INFJ. Hungarian poet János Pilinszky tells the story of a lone wolf drawn by the comforting glow of a distant human home. Silently stepping into the warmth, the wolf stands captivated, experiencing a profound sense of belonging it had never known. But when morning comes, the villagers awaken and see only danger, misunderstanding the wolf's gentle presence. In fear, they strike it down, unaware they had destroyed something that sought only connection. For INFJs, this story is painfully real. Often labeled antisocial or distant, INFJs carry within them a hidden longing for genuine connection and understanding. Renowned psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." INFJs deeply understand this truth, as their rare intuitive perspective isolates them, making it nearly impossible to fully share their complex inner world. INFJs see hidden meanings and connections most people never notice. While others bond effortlessly through casual conversations, INFJs silently yearn for deeper intimacy, rarely finding it. To protect themselves, they retreat, not from indifference but from quiet exhaustion. They become like solitary lighthouses, guiding others through storms, yet standing isolated, desperately hoping someone someday might finally see them clearly. Right now, someone you know, perhaps even yourself, quietly feels this way, longing to be truly understood, yet never fully seen. If you've ever stood silently among others, smiling softly, yet feeling deeply alone, share your story below. Someone desperately needs to hear they're not alone in their quiet yearning to be known. Have you ever known someone who remains impossibly calm under pressure, almost as if they don't feel emotions at all? Perhaps you've wondered, do they simply not care as deeply? Or do they hide something beneath their serene exterior? Something so powerful they dare not show it? In Harper Lee's iconic novel To Kill a Mockingbird, Boo Radley is exactly this kind of misunderstood figure. A quiet recluse, falsely rumored to be cold and dangerous. Yet at the story's climax, Boo silently emerges to protect two vulnerable children, revealing immense compassion hidden beneath his misunderstood silence. The townspeople realize too late how deeply he had cared all along. INFJs share this hidden intensity. Psychological studies confirm that INFJs feel emotions more profoundly than almost anyone else. They absorb feelings like sponges, deeply internalizing pain, joy, and anxiety, yet they rarely express these intense emotions openly. Why? Because experience teaches them that openly sharing deep emotions frequently leads to confusion, rejection, or misunderstanding. Their calm exterior is emotional armor, quiet protection against a world that often misunderstands the depths of their heart. Here's a surprising reality. INFJs rank among the personality types most likely to silently experience emotional burnout. They're the colleague who quietly nods during criticism but privately feels deeply hurt. They're the friend who tirelessly supports others but never asks for support themselves. Their composed exterior masks an ocean of hidden feelings, intense emotions they fear others might dismiss or misunderstand. As poet Rainer Maria Rilke observed, "The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens." INFJs live this truth, quietly internalizing profound emotional experiences, feeling deeply long before the world notices anything at all. Their hidden intensity becomes a silent burden, something invisible yet incredibly powerful, often isolating them from others who simply don't see it. So next time you see someone whose composure seems impossibly steady, consider the emotional currents beneath their still surface. Maybe their quiet calm isn't detachment but quiet emotional courage, silently holding back storms they believe nobody else could understand. If you recognize yourself or someone else in this quiet battle, share your story in the comments below. Your voice could finally help someone realize they aren't alone in their silent intensity. Have you ever known something with absolute certainty, felt it deeply, urgently, yet had no logical proof to back it up? You warn someone you care about, only to be dismissed or gently ridiculed. How does it feel to watch helplessly as your intuition proves painfully accurate time after time? Ancient Greece tells us about Cassandra, a prophetess cursed by the gods to foresee the future yet never be believed. Cassandra saw clearly the doom awaiting Troy. She desperately warned of the danger lurking inside the wooden horse, but her warnings fell on deaf ears. Her visions tragically came true, leaving her alone with grief, silently carrying the pain of truths nobody else could see. INFJs intimately understand Cassandra's pain. Psychology defines their rare cognitive gift as introverted intuition, an uncommon ability that allows them to perceive hidden patterns, subtle connections, and potential outcomes others completely miss. They quietly sense if a relationship is doomed long before visible cracks appear. They foresee workplace conflicts months before tensions surface. Yet when they attempt to explain these insights, they face disbelief, skepticism, or polite dismissal. Imagine warning a close friend about their new relationship, not because of jealousy or judgment, but because your intuition is screaming something is deeply wrong. You have no clear evidence, just an overwhelming gut feeling. Your friend gently laughs it off, assuming you're overreacting. Months later, heartbroken, they return, asking how you knew. Or imagine gently cautioning colleagues about a promising new hire. Something subtle feels off, yet you can't clearly articulate it. Your warning is ignored until later it becomes obvious your instincts were painfully accurate. Carl Jung explained this experience beautifully. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes. INFJs awaken to truths invisible to others, yet must bear the heavy frustration of seeing what no one else can. Over time, repeated misunderstandings teach them a painful lesson. Silence can become easier than constant disbelief. Yet carrying these visions silently is a lonely burden. INFJs often choose quiet isolation, silently holding intuitive truths, hoping someone might eventually listen. If you've ever known the frustration of carrying truths no one else can see, share your story below. Your experience might finally give voice to others quietly enduring the same invisible struggle. What would drive someone to secretly rescue hundreds of lives without ever seeking praise or acknowledgement? In 1939, Nicholas Winton saw families desperately fleeing Nazi-occupied Europe. Quietly, without fanfare, he organized rescue missions that saved 669 children from certain death. Remarkably, he told absolutely no one, not even his own family. Decades later, when the truth finally emerged, people asked him, astonished, why he'd remained silent. His answer was simple yet profound. I saw something that needed doing, and I did it. Winton's quiet heroism vividly illustrates a deeply misunderstood INFJ trait, the instinctive need to protect others selflessly, even at great personal cost. INFJs naturally step forward to advocate tirelessly for justice, quietly shielding those around them from pain. Yet tragically, they rarely extend this fierce compassion to themselves. Instead, they silently endure emotional pain, neglect, or mistreatment far longer than most others would tolerate. Scientific studies confirm INFJs often become hidden pillars of emotional support, mentoring co-workers, comforting friends through crises, guiding family members during tough times, all without ever asking for thanks. Their motivation isn't recognition, it's compassion. But compassion carries a hidden cost. INFJs frequently neglect their own emotional health, quietly enduring toxic relationships, workplace mistreatment, or emotional neglect long after most would walk away. Consider this striking statistic. INFJs are among the personality types most frequently targeted by emotionally manipulative individuals. Their profound empathy and desire to help others can blind them to subtle abuse, quietly leading them into relationships that drain them emotionally. They silently tolerate pain, mistakenly believing their resilience is limitless. But even quiet strength has its breaking point. After years of silent suffering, INFJs finally close the door abruptly, an action outsiders find sudden, even harsh. But this INFJ door slam is not impulsive cruelty. It's profound self-respect finally emerging, quietly declaring, "My heart deserves better." Rabindranath Tagore wrote profoundly, I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. INFJs embody this wisdom deeply. They quietly sacrifice for others, finding their greatest fulfillment in serving without recognition. Yet tragically, their own quiet suffering often remains invisible, misunderstood, or ignored until the weight becomes unbearable. If you've encountered someone quietly protecting others, yet silently enduring their own hidden pain, pause and offer gentle acknowledgement. Your quiet recognition could profoundly reassure them their silent courage hasn't gone unnoticed. If this hidden battle describes you or someone you deeply care about, share your story below. Your voice could finally illuminate the quiet strength and hidden suffering someone else desperately needs to see. Have you ever questioned how someone can witness humanity's darkest behaviors, betrayal, cruelty, greed, and still passionately believe in the inherent goodness of people? How can someone stare directly into life's shadows, yet continually choose compassion and hope instead of bitterness and despair? INFJs experience this paradox daily, a trait known as cynical idealism. They aren't mere dreamers, they're clear-eyed realists who see the world's flaws vividly. Yet despite clearly recognizing human darkness, hidden motives, subtle betrayals, repeated disappointments, they stubbornly choose to nurture hope, compassion, and optimism. This isn't naive optimism, it's deliberate, conscious hope, carefully chosen each day. Consider the ancient Greek myth of Pandora. Entrusted with a mysterious jar, Pandora's curiosity released every imaginable evil into the world: sorrow, greed, pain. But upon looking again, she discovered something quietly remaining at the jar's bottom: hope. INFJs deeply resonate with Pandora's paradox. They absorb suffering around them profoundly, feeling others' pain as deeply as their own. Yet rather than succumbing to despair, they fiercely hold on to hope, believing that even small acts of kindness matter deeply, despite clear evidence of human weakness. Renowned psychologist Carl Rogers perfectly captured this duality. When I look at the world, I am pessimistic, but when I look at people, I am optimistic. INFJs embody this wisdom. They clearly perceive the world's harsh realities, wars, injustices, betrayals, but respond by quietly doubling their kindness and compassion toward individuals around them. They transform despair into quiet action, believing deeply in the potential goodness of humanity. Here's a surprising fact. Research reveals INFJs often experience emotional exhaustion from absorbing global suffering, yet paradoxically respond by increasing their empathy and support toward others. Their emotional swing isn't instability, it's resilience, a conscious choice to transform personal pain into healing action. They quietly mentor struggling colleagues, support neglected friends, volunteer anonymously, believing their quiet actions, however small, matter profoundly. Leonard Cohen famously wrote, "There is a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in." INFJs intimately understand life's cracks. They see pain, brokenness, and cruelty clearly, yet refuse to let darkness define their worldview. Instead, they persistently choose to illuminate it. They quietly heal where others hurt, comfort where others neglect, and forgive when others remain bitter. This isn't idealistic foolishness, it's profound emotional courage. If you've encountered someone whose moods shift gently between quiet sadness and passionate optimism, perhaps you've struggled to understand this complexity. Realize it's not contradiction, it's deliberate courage. They're silently fighting despair by consciously nurturing hope. If this quiet strength speaks to you, consider subscribing. There's so much more to explore together. Share your own experience below. You might give someone else the courage they desperately need to keep choosing compassion in a difficult world. When you imagine strength, what do you picture? Loud voices, bold actions, dominance? Society often defines power as aggressive and obvious. But what if true strength is quiet, patient, and gentle? What if real power doesn't shout, but instead whispers calmly through quiet endurance and gentle resolve? INFJs embody precisely this quiet strength. Beneath their calm, gentle exterior lies immense emotional power, often misunderstood because it doesn't demand recognition. People mistakenly perceive this subtlety as weakness, failing to see that true courage is frequently silent, steady, and unseen. INFJs carry emotional burdens quietly without ever asking for acknowledgement. They're often the steady, unseen hand, quietly guiding others through crises, silently bearing emotional weight others never notice. Consider the misunderstood phenomenon known as the INFJ door slam. To outsiders, it appears sudden and harsh, a seemingly abrupt decision to cut someone off completely. But behind this action is quiet, persistent strength. INFJs patiently endure emotional wounds for years, repeatedly forgiving and hoping circumstances might improve. Only when pushed beyond their limits do they finally, quietly close that door, not from cruelty, but from profound self-respect. This silent boundary isn't impulsive, it's their gentle resolve, finally emerging after long neglect. Research reveals INFJs are among the personality types most likely to silently carry intense emotional struggles without ever sharing them openly. They're the friend who listens endlessly yet rarely asks for help. The co-worker calmly managing crisis after crisis without complaint. People mistake their quiet composure for detachment, completely missing the extraordinary emotional strength required to remain gentle in stressful situations. Their calm presence quietly stabilizes chaos, comforts suffering, and empowers others, all without ever seeking recognition. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived unimaginable horror, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." INFJs instinctively occupy this powerful, quiet space. They pause thoughtfully, respond deliberately, choosing patience over anger, compassion over resentment. Their gentle resolve quietly holds families, friendships, and workplaces together, even while their own emotional struggles remain hidden. Yet tragically, their quiet strength is often overlooked, overshadowed by louder voices demanding attention. INFJs rarely seek acknowledgement openly, instead quietly hoping someone might finally recognize the emotional strength required to carry their silent burdens. They long for someone to quietly acknowledge the hidden courage in their gentle endurance. If you've encountered someone whose quiet strength seems impossibly strong, who gently stabilizes chaos yet rarely draws attention, pause and quietly recognize their hidden courage. Your gentle acknowledgement, however subtle, can profoundly reassure them. Their quiet strength hasn't gone unnoticed. If this quiet strength describes you or someone you deeply care about, share your experience below. And if this video truly spoke to your heart, please take a moment right now to click like, share this video with someone who needs to hear these words, and subscribe. Your action helps more INFJs feel validated and deeply understood, finally reminding them they're not alone, quietly fighting battles nobody else sees.